Okay, I hope everybody's doing well today. It's a rainy, chilly day here in southeast Pennsylvania. Pardon the state of my garage. I am in the middle of getting everything ready for Halloween, but because of the weather, I'm kind of stuck with what I could do, so I figured I'd make a couple of videos. Today, what I'm going to show you how to do is I'm going to show you how to turn 2 Home Depot buckets, a little bit of wood, a pink foam board, and 1/2-inch PVC into pedestals that you can use for your statues. You can use it for different shapes, different forms. These are good for all weather statues. You don't have to worry about them breaking, bending, or anything like that. Last year I tried using cardboard, and the cardboard ones, I actually liked them. They looked okay, but I found in the weather would sometimes, if I didn't seal everything perfectly, these things would fall apart pretty fast. I'm also going to show you how to set it up so that it is extremely stable. You won't have to worry about the wind knocking them over. And if you want to, if you live in a hilly area like I do, got a lot of hills over here, you can also put these on an angle without having to worry about the statues toppling off. First thing I want to do is prep the Home Depot bucket. I'm going to want to get it looking like this here, where I cut off a little bit. Basically, I have the Home Depot bucket here. I'm going to cut off the handle, and I'm going to cut off the top part here. When you cut off the top, I've used the Sawzall, which works fine, but I found that when I use a grinder, it actually works even better. And we do just go up to the lip right here and make a series of cuts. As you do this, you're going to get a nice line going around. This cut off, I'm ready to go. Okay, now I got 2 buckets here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put one on top of the other, making a base. 2 different ways you can do it. You can do it with the bottom to bottom, or if you want, you could do top to top. Top to top's a little bit harder. Quite honestly, I don't like it as much, so I'm doing bottom to bottom. And what I'm going to be doing is 2 different things to get this connection. First, I will be drilling holes in the bottom here, which I'm going to be using to connect zip ties to zip tie and give it a mechanical connection. I'm also going to be using glue around the edges to give it a chemical connection. And then I'm going to use masking tape around the outside to give it a little bit of another connection. I'm putting the 2 buckets together, bottom to bottom. Right now I'm going to put a piece of masking tape around connecting them. I'm going to be removing this masking tape and use another masking tape later. This is just so that it makes it easier while I'm working on the buckets and doing the work that I need to do inside the buckets. One of the things I do when I make my pedestals is I put a length of 1/2-inch PVC through it. The reason I do this is I'll have a piece of rebar in the ground that goes in the bottom that helps stabilize the base, and then I have I'll have the opening at the top. I modify my statues. I'm going to do another video on this later on, so that I could put rebar, drop rebar into this. It's sticking above the pedestal for about 6 inches or so. And then I'm able to put the statue on top of that, and it creates a nice stable base all the way up to the statue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be using a 7/8 inch drill bit. That's the perfect size for a 1/2-inch piece of PVC. I'm going to find the center, drill, and just like that, I've got a hole in the center that will be perfect for the PVC to go through. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a series of holes in here. I'm going to be doing 2 holes here, 2 holes there next to each other, 2 holes there next to each other. I'm going to do it 5 times. I'm going to do it through both buckets, and basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be creating a place where I can slip zip ties through, bring them back through, and so I'll be able to tighten them real tight, and it'll give me a mechanical connection to help hold the two things in place. Okay, drilling the holes now. 1, 2, gotta go on to the next set. 1, 2, go on to the next set. 1, 2, next set. 1, 2, and the last set. And you can see the holes in there that I'm going to be slipping the zip tie through. So I've got some 12-inch zip ties. Slip them through one of the holes, goes in the bottom of the bucket, flip it upside down, go back through the other hole. That gives you the two ends there, just connect them. Leave them loose, so don't do this tight right now. Just like do a couple of clicks. Because we're gonna need them loose for the next step that we do. So, just like that, you can see there's plenty of play. So I got the zip ties in there. The zip ties are not very tight yet. I'm gonna take the old masking tape off. And I've got a glue gun. The glue gun's already warmed up. I got extra glue sticks. I'm gonna lift this up. I'm gonna glue the outer edge here. Now by itself, I would not trust the glue, but with the zip ties and the tape, it seems to have been holding up pretty well. So go along the edge. It's one of the things that if you have somebody else to help you out, it's actually pretty useful. So they can hold up the bucket for you. Put it down. You want to make sure it's even all the way around. Try not to burn yourself into hot glue. I've done that many times. Like that. Push down. And then what I do is with the zip ties, I get a pair of pliers. I reach in, and by using pliers, you're able to pull these a lot tighter and get a good mechanical connection. And just like that, you've got your base. I connect it. You can see how it's connected in here. You don't have to cut those things off if you don't want to. It's don't be covered up, nobody's don't see it. But you also notice that there is some dry glue in between the two things here. So what I like to do is I like to get a sander. You can hand sand it. I'm going to use this sander here. I'm just going to go around. I'm going to hit it and kind of smooth it out. Okay, so I smoothed the glue down with the sander. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some masking tape. When you put the top on the bottom, the closer you get it to where it's like lined up perfectly, less likely you're gonna have like any sign of a crack there. One of the things I do is I put a piece of tape around, and this helps more than anything else. Like I don't really expect to do a whole lot holding together. You want to smooth it out as you go around, and what this does is it helps hide any vestiges of a crack between the buckets. You can paint over this, it paints over well. You want to try to make it nice and smooth as you do. I did not make it nice and smooth, so but even that's not going to bother me that much. When I paint, I like to have like raised areas. That way when I dry brush, it actually dry brush, like you can tell the dry brush is happening a little bit better. I'm about to make a pedestal top and bottom. When you make the top and bottom, you can do it a couple different ways. You can make them circular like this one here. You can make them square. Make them thick or keep it thin. It's up to you. I'm going to be making this one for this gargoyle that my wife dropped last year and shattered into about 50 pieces. I had to glue back with glue and JB Weld. I'm going to be making a pedestal for this. I can put it on kind of like this right here. So I'm gonna make something like this for this gargoyle. We're gonna make the top and the base of the pedestal. When you do this, we're using the pink foam board insulation from Home Depot. You can also get it from Lowe's. I think it's blue from Lowe's. When you do this, you want to decide what size you want the top to be and the bottom to be. Generally, I make it so that the bottom's like 16 by 16, 14 by 14 for perfect circle. The top, I do a little bit different size based on what I'm putting on top of it. For this one, for the statue I'm using it with, I'm going to be going with a 14 by 16 inch top to the pedestal. Really easy to cut. You can use a sawzall. I'm going to use a jigsaw. It goes right through as you're about to see. My panels cut for the top and the bottom of the pedestal. A couple things about this. First of all, if these are not all like exactly the same size on all four sides, as long as they're close, you'll be fine. You can sand them down. They're very sandable to get them close to each other. The other thing is, when you make these pedestals, normally they're about 25 to 26 inches. If you use one panel on the bottom, one panel on the top, if you use two panels on the bottom, two panels on the top, it's about 28, 29 inches. When I do this, I'm going to do a couple of different things. I'm going to glue these together. The way I glue these together is a hot glue gun and a spray bottle of water. You also want to make sure that you get any pieces of dust and stuff out of there. I spray this down because if you don't spray down first, what's going to happen is you could possibly melt part of the foam board with the glue, and we want to avoid that. You also want to sweep down the bottom of the top piece. Spray this down also. And it doesn't have to be soaked, just enough to cool the glue. Then you add some glue. You can see the water is actually cooling it off a little bit, and it's keeping it from eating into the foam board. You don't want to take too long on this because you don't want the glue harden, but you do have a few seconds to get this on. And you take the one, pop it on, push it down, put your weight on it so you get it nice and close to each other. Like I said, if it's not perfectly even, it's not a problem. Just put it on a sander. You can grind them down so that they're even. If you have a little gap between the edges out here, you see, I don't know if you can see that, but that's flexing a little bit. Just take the glue gun, put it in the grab, put it down, press on it, and now we'll seal up the gap for you. All right, on this piece, I've got one that is probably almost a 1/4 inch above the other one. So when I cut it, it must have gone off a little bit. It's not a problem, it's not a big deal. I'm going to be putting this on the sander and grinding it down. That's a 1/4 inch is a fair amount to grind down on the thing. So you can take a cutting tool. You could take a Dremel if you have a bit long enough. You could take a Sawzall and slice that along. What I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using a foam cutter. You can get them on Amazon. They're not too expensive. I'm just going to go along and cut off that 1/4 inch. Just be careful you don't hit the piece that's not extending out beyond it. And this will get close enough so that when I go on the sander, I won't be grinding all day trying to get it down. Just like that, it's off. And now it's ready for the grinder. So I want to get these edges a little bit more even. They're pretty close, but I want to get them like more flush. I'm just going to use the sander. When I use the sander, I turn it on, I put it down, grind it a little bit. You don't want to grind too much away, just a tiny bit, get them even, flip it over, get the rest, and then do all four sides. And when you're done, you'll have 4 nicely smooth sides that should all be even. So I've got the hot foam cutter again. I've sanded this down, the edges are pretty even and everything. What I want to do now is I'm going to do a couple make this look more than just like a block here. The foam cutter is really good for this in a couple different ways. If you want to, you can do it at an angle, so you have like a sloping angle going down. You can also use a jigsaw, put the jigsaw on an angle, and you can have like a pretty cool effect where the block of stone's going down like that. It just kind of looks nice. All I'm doing for this is I'm just rounding off the edges. I'm taking a cup, put the cup on the edges here, or the top of the can. And I take the top foam cutter, just file it around. And that gives me a round edge. I'm going to do that to all four corners. I'm going to hit it a little bit with a sander, just a tiny, tiny bit to make it look a little more cohesive. And now I'm ready for the next step. All right, so the next thing you want to do is you want to figure out where the center is. We're going to be drilling a hole using the 7/8 drill bit through it. Next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be drilling holes through the board. I'll be using a 7/8 inch drill bit. And what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to drop the PVC down here. However, another thing I do is because the foam board isn't like structurally not super strong, if you just drop the PVC straight through the foam board, eventually it's going to go back and forth, it's going to wear, it's going to drop out, it's not going to fit very well. So what I do is I take a piece of wood, I've got 2 old pieces of wood that I drilled a 7/8 inch hole in. I'll drill the hole in here, put this right over top, lift it up, spray this down, put glue on this, put it on, and what this will do is it will give a structurally sound place to put the PVC through so it won't wear away. I'll probably put a note at the beginning of the video, but whenever I'm drilling or whenever I'm sanding, I wear a mask. You do get like particles in the air and you probably don't want to be breathing them in, so it's a good precaution to take. So I'm just going to show you how I attach the wood to the foam board. Very simple. Brush it off. Make sure you don't have any little pieces of debris. Spray down with water so you're not melting it. Get your wood. Glue it up. This actually holds very, very well when you put it on there. Flip it upside down. Line up the holes. And we're good. This will be the inside of the bucket. Basically, when I put this on, this don't go over here, and the PVC will drop down through the buckets, through the hole, down to the bottom. All right, I've got all my pieces roughed out. I've got the base, the bottom, I've got the pedestal itself, I've got the top, I've got the PVC, I've got all my holes cut, I've got the wood on there. I'm just going to run this down through here. And I'm actually going to go into the bottom piece here. And one of the things I want to do right now is I want to get a good physical connection or chemical connection going here. So, putting the PVC pipe through there, all the way down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the glue gun. I'm going to lift this up a little bit. I'm going to glue around here. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get a connection between the PVC and the wood. That way, it'll keep it from moving up and down more. Put this on the ground here. Get in there. Make sure that's on the ground all the way. There we go. Now the glue will dry. That glue will add a little bit of extra adhesiveness between the pedestal and the PVC. I'll be able to go on. My next step is I've got the buckets pretty much centered. I've got the PVC through. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line circle around here. And I'm going to use this circle as a guide to cut into the foam a little bit so that the pedestal connects into the base stronger. I'm going to show you how I do that in a minute. Alright, so I've got the circle drawn. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my my hot foam cutter. I'm putting on this connection here. I'm going to use this to cut out a circle around here. Now I drew the circle on the outside of the bucket, so I'm going to want what I'm cutting to be slightly inside of the line. Now what I'm going to be doing right now is I'm going to be turning on the fan. You won't be able to hear me. When you're using this, a lot of fumes come up, so I always have the fan going in the background to blow all the fumes away from me. But it's pretty simple. Go down. I like to go down about 1/2 inch or so, and then I just start cutting the circle out. If you don't have a hot foam cutter, you could probably use a Dremel, perhaps a router, so you can use different things. And basically what you're doing is you're cutting a hole that the lip of the bucket's going to slide right into. We'll add some glue, put it in there, and I've been getting some pretty stable connection. All right, next thing I want to do, and I probably should have done this earlier, is I want to cut the PVC down to about the proper length. I want the PVC to be long enough that it goes from the bottom of the pedestal to the top of the pedestal. Now, when I put this into place, it's going to drop down a little bit, so it's probably going to stick out a little bit. I'll just get a sander, sand it down a little bit. But right now, I just want to get it close to the edge because it'll be easier to work with. When I do this, is that I'm going to be able to drop a piece of rebar, 1/2 inch rebar in here, and that will stick out, and that will stick into the statue and keep the statue from falling off. The problem is right now, if I release that, it goes all the way through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a drill bit. I'm using a 532 drill bit. I'm going to drill a hole through here, about 5-6 inches down. And then I'm going to take a piece of a pin, and what I'm using for the pin is like the bucket handle. I'm going to measure off how much of the pin I need. And I'm going to cut off a whole section of the pin. Alright. Now, with this hole, I probably going to have to widen it a little bit. Next size up was a little bit too big, so I'm just going to gently go back and forth. Get it to the point where this pin fits snugly in it. Go through the other side. And right now I got the pin in. Use a little bit of hot glue. Spray down with water so it cools off a little bit faster. And now you'll notice that when I put the rebar in, instead of dropping all the way through, it goes down, hits the pin. That will go up into the statue and stabilize the statue. So I've got the pin in place up here. I've got the pedestal on. And what I'm going to do is put it into this channel that we cut out. Line it up. Push it down. And you'll see it actually fits in perfectly. So I'm going to pull this out again. I'm going to get the spray. I'm going to spray this down. And then the spray bottle. Not working very well. Now I'm going to take the glue gun. Pour glue into the channel all the way around. Put it back down, line it up again, push it in, put a little weight on it, give it a minute or two to set, and you'll have a good strong connection. Alright, now that I got the bottom on, I'm going to do the top, basically following the same procedure. I'm going to draw my line around. Take it off. I'm going to make my channel in there. I'm going to glue up the channel. I'll drop a little bit of glue in here, put it all together, push it down and in, and I'll have my completed pedestal. Okay, I want to go over this again just because this is such a crucial part to making this work, okay? You have the line out here. You do not want to cut on the line. You want to cut inside the line. That way the bucket will fit in fine. If you actually do it on the line itself, you run the risk of it being like too far out and the bucket won't slide in as easily as I was able to get it to on the last one. So if everything worked out well, this should line up with this okay. If not, I'll be doing a retake. I got the bottom from the bucket. I'm putting this on here because right now this pole is a little bit longer than the top here, and if I put it in, it'll hit the floor. I don't want to do that, so by having the top under there, it gives me a little bit of room. So I'm going to take this, push it down, and pops right in. Take it out. Get the glue gun. This up. I should have sprayed it with water first. Okay. So I got it in there, got the glue in there. I'll try to line up the top and the bottom as close as I can. So in there again, put it on the ground so that the top and bottom line up okay. Some weight on the top. Then you've got everything together. I'm going to cut this a little bit of a piece off here. And then painting, and we're done. I just said painting it and it's done. I forgot one step. We also have to caulk it. And the other thing is, if you want to make accents, if you want to have like pieces going up into here, you can also add those on. Just make things to the shape that you want. You can see them on some of the other pedestals I did. I'm not doing it for this one because I want to be done with this. But for the caulk, just get your caulk gun. Go around the edge. And then I'm getting a piece of wood. Going around, smoothing it out. So I got a little seal there. And I'll flip it upside down. Get the caulking gun. Same thing. Go around, smooth it out. And now it's ready for painting. Alright, so we're almost done. Last things we have to do is painting. What I'll do when I paint it is I use a monster mud using thin set cement and an outdoor latex paint. Latex paint I'm using is from Glidden. It's zombie color, it's a dark gray. You mix them together. It's a mixture that I first saw on Van Oak Prop's Prop video. I'll put a link in the description so you can watch it below. About 2 minutes and 40 seconds into the video, it talks about how to make this monster mud mixture and the advantages of using this over standard monster mud. So I'll paint this. I normally use 2 coats. First coat, I just kind of paint on. Second coat, when I'm doing it, I do a lot of dabbing. That raises the surface, makes it look a little bit more stone-like. And then when I dry brush, it helps like pick up the dry brush a little bit better. This one, I'll put aside. I gotta wait for the caulk to dry before I paint it. I have one that I've already painted. You can see it right here. And basically the last thing I do, two last things I do, I dry brush it. Dry brushing, I just use a mixture of like a gray paint. I want a light gray that's lighter than this. Don't put too much on here. And basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the raised edges. So you just kind of like go along, pick up the raised edges. And what it does is it makes it pop and contrast a little bit. And I think it makes it look a little bit better than just having it all stone. I'll do this to the whole thing, the top, the bottom, and then I'll seal it. There's plenty of different sealers that you can use for paint. I don't know if I need the sealer or not, but I figure why take a chance and I'll have it out in the rain and the weather, and then you're done. Alright, so this is one that I just dry brushed. I'll seal it later. You can see it looks, I like the way it looks. I like the stone look. I like the way the dry brushing adds to it. Now, in the ground, I use rebar into the ground. Now I'll put this on top of the rebar, and now I'll give it keep it from toppling over in heavy winds, whatever. And then what I do is I get these pink rebar. You can use regular rebar also, but I've got a bunch of pink stuff. I use it for the top. Just drop it in. Grab the statue that I'm going to put on it. Slide it on, and you're done.